I'm Haven Cole, 26, and my apartment in Denver sounds like a heart monitor. Not because of the traffic on Colfax or the radiator that rattles like a tambourine, but because my desk holds a small forest of microphones and a tangle of XLR cables that blink little green lives back at me. This is where I breathe, where I edit breaths into stories and silence into meaning, where I built a show that was supposed to be ours, where I learned how betrayal sounds in headphones. It's late March, mud season in the city. Snow shadows cling to the curbs on Capitol Hill, and the air smells like coffee and thawing soil. My studio is a closet I claimed with foam panels and velvet curtains. I record sitting cross-legged on the floor, a denim jacket over my knees, a mug of mint tea going cold by the laptop. On the wall is a taped-up post-it that says, in my handwriting, "We are never alone in our stories." That line used to make me brave. It made listeners brave too. They'd email and leave voicemails on a number I set up, telling me secrets they didn't know how to tell the people they loved. Because the show's concept, our concept, was simple and savage. I'd tell one person's story through the people around them. Second-person narratives built from voicemails, ambient sound, and the voices of friends, lovers, and enemies. We called it second-person singular. We being me and Evan Pace. Charming, fast-talking, a co-host who learned to slow his cadence because I told him our listeners needed oxygen. We started at a thrifted kitchen table and a borrowed Zoom H6. We split every cost, every edit, every late-night panic about levels being blown. On good nights, we were a braid, his baritone voice, my quiet questions, the hiss of our city wrapped around us like a coat. "I can't keep doing this," he said. 3 weeks ago at City O City, the vegan spot where the chairs all wobble and the barista knows I order oat milk as if it's religion. He said it like a rehearsed line. I should have known then. "I'm burned out," he added, lifting his eyes to me with that soft pity that men practice in mirrors. "It's just too much, H. I need a break." "A break?" I said, and my voice did that pitchy thing it does when I'm trying not to cry. "A break is not a betrayal. A break is a nap. Just a couple months," he promised, palms up, tapped his coffee cup like it was a metronome. "You keep the feed warm with minis. We'll regroup in the summer," I breathed. I told myself people leave and come back all the time, and not every departure is abandonment. I told myself what my mother used to say when my chest gets tight: name 5 things you can sense right now. Ground yourself. I felt the paper cup, tasted stale espresso, heard Silver Jews playing on the speakers, saw the worker chalking a new menu, smelled someone's cumin-laced lunch. "Okay," I said, "take your break." We hugged in the doorway, in that weird wind tunnel between the front door and Colfax. His jacket smelled clean. He walked east. I walked west. I didn't chase. I came back to my apartment and stared at the post-it and recorded a mini episode about taking rest. I told my listeners we'd be back bigger. I told them to keep calling the voicemail line. I told them, we in every sentence, because hope is a pronoun. 2 days later, my phone blew up at 6:47 a.m. Not with voicemails, with texts from friends, ex-coworkers, a listener named June in Greeley who sends me photos of the sunrise like a weather report. "Oh my God, Haven. Are you seeing this? Girl?" A link followed. There it was. A slick promo card with that brutal black and white palette you only see when something's been focus grouped to death, Evan's face. A title scrolled across. Other People's Echoes. A subhead. Exclusive to Fathom Audio. A pull quote. "We are never alone in our stories." My line. My pulse went electric. I tapped the teaser. A pristine studio. A producer laughing off camera. A soft focus B-roll of Evan walking through Union Station like a man who owns the place. And then, his voice, familiar and foreign at once, narrating our concept. Voicemails. Second-person framing. Stories told by the chorus around one person. I put my head down on my desk and the wood smelled like lemon oil and spilled tea, and for a minute the world turned to static. "Call him, my best friend," Amma texted. "Don't," my gut replied. So I didn't. I emailed. Cool lines like knife edges. Hey Evan, saw your announcement. I'm shocked and hurt. This is our concept, documented, drafted, and developed across joint files. We need to talk, Haven. His response was 3 sentences. Haven, you know I've been thinking about different directions for a long time. I'm sorry you feel hurt. I made sure not to use any of our recordings. Not any. As if he'd done me a kindness by swapping out my exact words with synonyms. I laughed, but the kind where your chest hurts. Then I clicked the teaser again. A breath in the middle caught me. A floorboard creak. I knew that creak. It lives under my left foot in this apartment. Play it again, I whispered into the empty room, as if the walls could witness. There it was. On the die, and between 2 sentences, a tiny wooden sigh. Our sigh. My sigh. He'd taken a scratch track we made in my closet, the night we practiced the intro with blanket forts and the heat off because the radiator hissed like a snake. Not any of our recordings? I muttered. I know my own creaks, Evan. I dragged the waveform back and forth until the sound was a metronome drilling fury into me. My hands shook. My tea went cold. When panic arrives, it's a bad actor, trying too hard. When anger arrives, it is precise. It sorted my files like soldiers. I opened the master folder, SPS, DEV, and there were the subfolders, labels I'd made in all caps, like a shout: concept, docs, pilot, scripts, voicemails, outtakes, fan, mail. It wasn't just the creak. It wasn't just the line. It was all of it. He knew the scaffolding. He knew the secret sauce. He knew the listener who wrote to us twice a week about her brother who disappeared in 2004, and the guy who sent a 3-minute message from a truck stop, and the woman who whispered from a bathroom at work. He knew, because I had given him the key. I stared at fan, mail. I opened it. A flood of subject lines stared back, like little faces in a crowd. Your show gave me words. Please tell her story. You can use my voicemail if you want. I clicked one at random. It was from a college senior named Aya. Subject line: how do you hold other people's pain without dropping it? Hi Haven and Evan, it began, and I crumpled a little. She had permission lines. She had dates. She had gratitude I did not deserve and yet ache to. He took the expression, but I still had the source. I opened outtakes. There, time-stamped, were the nights we recorded at 2 a.m. after our day jobs. There was my throat clearing. There was his laugh, the one that always tripped on the third ha. There was me saying, again, but talk to me, like the mic is a person, and him going, like this? And me saying, yes, exactly like that, and the floorboard lisping its small consent. If he'd used our scratch intros, he'd lied. If he'd lied, I could prove it. My brain split into 2 lanes. One lane wanted to curl under the desk and scroll Zillow for small towns in New Mexico. The other lane, sharp, terrible, surgical, started laying out the revenge story like a storyboard on my mental corkboard. Step 1. Gather evidence, then publish a counter-narrative. Not a rant, not a cry into the void. A story which is the only language he and I both speak. Do not do anything rash, Amma said when I called her. What counts as rash? I asked. Anything that makes you feel better in the next hour but worse in the next month. I swirled the cold tea. Outside, a siren sketched a red line through the afternoon. I pulled a notebook toward me, flipped to a fresh page. Okay, I said. Okay, I repeated, and the word steadied. I wrote. Episode 0. The Theft. Tape pulls. Outtakes, early pitches, dated voicemails, emails from fans that predate his deal, timeline, receipts, a chair scraped upstairs. Someone laughed in the hallway. Denver breathed around me. I pressed record and spoke into the mic as if I were telling a ghost where to haunt. Hey listeners, I said, my voice shaking but breaking through. It's Haven. We usually tell stories in the second person you, but today I have to tell you something in the first. This is about a theft. Not of a wallet, of a voice. I didn't know it yet, but the second I created that project in my DAW, titled it 0, the effed rough, the revenge started. I uploaded the first clip to my timeline, an outtake labeled Intro Blanket Fort. I slid it under my narration like laying a wire in a wall. I exported a 30-second test to hear it all together. And that's when I noticed a file at the bottom of outtakes I didn't remember naming. Rhodes, pitch, room, MP. 3. Rhodes was Evan's middle name. He hated it. He wouldn't use it. My scalp prickled. I double-clicked. The waveform unfurled. Static. Footsteps. A door. Then Evan's voice, low and conspiratorial. Not the charming one. The other one. We bring the format exactly as is. We call it other people's echoes. Yeah, she'll be mad. But the concept is mine too. And if we move fast, she can't. He stopped. Another voice. A woman. Calm and dangerous. She can't what? Evan laughed. Stop me. My hand flew for the spacebar, but I missed and the audio kept going. Then a scrape. A hushed, we shouldn't be recording this. Then a click. The file ended. My apartment went so quiet I could hear the hallway clock. Somewhere outside, a light rail moaned. I stared at the screen, throat burning, heart cairns stacked with shock and vindication. Somebody had recorded him. Somebody had put the file in my folder. Somebody wanted me to know. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. No name. A text dropped onto my screen like a match onto dry leaves. You don't know me. I was in that room. He's done this before. Check your email. I swung to my inbox. A new message had arrived 30 seconds ago from a burner address. Echoes are not clean at protonmail.com. Subject line, metadata never lies. I clicked. Attached, a zip file titled Fathom Teaser Stems. My stomach dropped through the floor. I moved the mouse toward it. Fingers trembling. The post-it above my desk, a yellow halo. I was about to open it when a hard knock landed on my door. 3 strikes. Authoritative. I froze. Headphones still around my neck. The room suddenly too small and too loud, my breath eager to give me away. Miss Cole? A male voice called, shaped like a threat wrapped in courtesy. I have a letter for you. My eyes slid to the waveform still open. To the email. Attachment? Waiting like a trap. To the door I could not unhear. I stood up slowly, the floorboard under my left foot creaking its same tiny confession. And I thought, very calmly, okay then, let's find out what this is. I opened the door with my hand on my heartbeat. A man in a windbreaker stood there, holding an envelope like a delicate bomb. Miss Cole? He asked again. I nodded. He passed me the document and walked away without waiting for a signature, like shame has a no-contact rule. The envelope was heavy. Lawyer heavy. Inside, a letter topped with the Fathom Audio logo, paragraphs that smelled like printer ink and money. Words like defamation, tortious interference, trade secret misappropriation. A demand that I preserve all relevant materials and refrain from publishing any statements concerning Mr. Pace or Fathom. 30 days to respond. Immediate compliance expected. I laughed. It came out wrong. Like breaking glass in a pillowcase. I set the letter on my desk and stared at the subject line on my laptop. Fathom. Teaser. Stems. Like it was a dare. Amma called. Tell me it's not a lawsuit, she said. It's a prelude, I said. Cease and desist prelude. You need a lawyer. I need air. We breathed together for 5 counts. A ritual we built in sophomore year when my chest felt like an unfinished bridge. Okay, she said. I know someone. Remember Nora? The media attorney from the clinic that helped my cousin when that influencer stole her art? She's in Denver now. I'm texting you her number. A new text arrived with a contact card and a tiny anchor emoji. Nora Park. I saved it like a relic. Then I stared at the zip file again and thought about chain of custody, metadata, provenance. Not because I'm paranoid, because I've listened to enough investigative shows to know how the story gets clean. I created a fresh folder. Desk, divided by evidence, divided by incoming, divided by 1. Stems. I downloaded the zip. I hashed it with a free app I'd used once for a true crime episode. I took a screenshot of the hash, the timestamp, my trembling cursor. Tell me you're documenting, Amma said, still on speaker. I am, I said. I'm building a moat. I unzipped. Inside were clean, surgical stems, labeled like a TV show Bible. Vox, main, WAV, FX, room tone, WAV, bed, ambience, 1, WAV, and something called intro, promo, WAV. I dragged the files into my DAW and turned the volume down until the waveform looked like a sleeping dog. Then I soloed the room tone. 8 seconds in, I heard it. That faint, familiar 60 Hz hum from my ancient Frigidaire. At 13.6 seconds, the floorboard cleared its throat. I felt my spine light up like a zipper. I soloed the main vox. Evan breathed and lifted my stolen line. We are never alone in our stories. He let the word never hang exactly the way I taught him. Then my favorite kind of gift, he inhaled too close to the pop filter, and a thin whistle squeaked. I knew that squeak. My cheap mesh screen has a tear that makes S's flirt with ghosts. If this was fabricated, it was exquisitely bad at being fake. I clicked the info panel. The file's metadata gave me the timecode. Creation date, the 14th of January 2024. Original DAW, Reaper. Original file name, SPS, intro, v3, Roomy, WAV. My file naming structure. My typo, Roomy, instead of room. I slumped back against the chair and closed my eyes. There's a weird kind of grief in finding proof that your pain is real. Relief and rage marry in your throat. My phone buzzed with an email from our hosting platform. Subject line, ownership change request approved. My mouth went dry. I clicked. Hi Haven. This is to confirm the primary ownership of the RSS feed for second person singular has been transferred to the user apace at email. 2-factor. He must have had a recovery code. Or a sympathetic support rep. Or both. I tried logging in. Password rejected. Think like a thief, I told myself. If I were Evan, what would I lock first? My feed. My analytics. My identity. My stomach. I called the hosting support line and got an apologetic voice reading from a script. Due to the ownership change, I can't disclose information to you, she said. I hung up gently so I wouldn't add phone battery exploding to my list. Amma's voice came back into the room like a tether. Breathe, H. I just lost my feed, I said. So start another, she said. It's not the end, it's a detour. I worked 2 years to build those subscribers. Then you start a YouTube channel. You've got a mic and a face. People like faces. I stared at my reflection in the black mirror of my laptop and almost didn't recognize the woman looking back. Her eyes were sharp. Her jaw was a decision. Okay, I said. Okay. I opened YouTube Studio and created a channel with a name that tasted like a threat and a promise. Haven Cole unmuted. In the corner, the zip file smoked quietly. I needed a second set of ears. Someone who knew what a spectrogram could confess. I texted Diego, an audio engineer I used to intern with at a community station. He's a wizard with dirty tape. Me. Hey stranger, got a nerdy puzzle. Can you run forensic ears on a few files? Urgent. Diego. For my favorite chaos agent? Always. Drop a link. I sent him a drive folder with the stems and my hash screenshots. He responded with a wave emoji and a skull. Not comforting, but on brand. I opened my notebook and made 2 columns. Law, audio. Under law, I wrote Nora, clinic, preserve, timeline, C, and D. Under audio, I wrote stems, metadata, creak, fridge hum, pop filter whistle. Underneath everything, I wrote, tell the story better than he can. The burner email pinged again. Echo Zeranot clean at protonmail.com. Don't meet anywhere private. Cameras are your friend. Bluebird. Tomorrow at 3. Wear red. I'll be in a denim cap. I stared at the words, cameras are your friend, and felt both watched and held. An ally in the dark. Or a trap wearing an ally's clothes. Either way, I'd pick the place where the city sees. I texted Amma the plan. Take me with you, she wrote. You're teaching at 3, I replied. She sent back 3 middle finger emojis and a heart. The ceiling creaked. My upstairs neighbor moved a chair. Everything felt like footsteps. The screen lit up with Evan's name. I let it ring twice and tapped accept. Hey, I said. Hey, he said, soft, like he was calling from a church. You got a letter today, he added. Statement, not question. They sent you to tell me that? I asked. No, he said. A pause. I wanted to talk before any of this gets uglier than it needs to. It's already ugly. I didn't use any of our recordings, he repeated, like repetition was an exorcism. Your teaser's room tone whistles at 13.6, I said. Silence. Then a chuckle he couldn't swallow fast enough. You're upset, he said. You're weaponizing. My jaw flexed. Did Fathom tell you to call me? They advised it might be productive, he said. Advised is such a wholesome word for scent. He sighed. Haven, this is business. It was art, I said. And then you put it in a suit. You don't own a structure, he said, voice getting faster. It's a format. You don't own oxygen either, but if you steal my breath and sell it, I notice. Haven, I hit record on my external recorder and set it by the mic. If he was going to gaslight me, I would at least get the illumination on tape. Let's do this on email, I said, and hung up. My hands shook so hard I had to sit on them. The room tone seemed to lean in. Curious. Diego texted. Diego. I ran the stems through Isotope. The noise profile matches a sample you sent me in 2023 when you were complaining about hum. Same notch at 60 Hz. Spectrogram shows a transient at 13.57 SEC, consistent with a Wood Creek. Also, metadata still has your original file name in the XMP. Sloppy copy. Me. So if this were court, it would sing? Diego. It would belt. I dropped my forehead to my forearm and laughed into my sleeve, giddy and nauseous. The story wasn't just mine emotionally, it was mine physically. In the molecules of my apartment, in the ghost of my fridge, I called Nora. Her voice was calm, with a Colorado lilt that made me think of pine. Walk me through it, she said. I did. All of it, the letter, the stems, the creek, like a receipt that prints itself. She asked good questions. Do you have partnership agreements, IP assignments, anything in writing about ownership? Just emails and a shared Google Drive with my name on every doc. Okay, she said. So you have proof of authorship, process, and origin. The cease and desist is meant to chill you. Don't be chilled, but don't post anything reckless. You're not just fighting a man, you're fighting his machinery. What can I say without detonating my life? You can tell the truth, she said. You can publish your process. You can air original recordings that you own and that you have permission to share from the people in them. But blur names if needed. And if someone whispers about whistleblowing, you protect them like they're oxygen. Tomorrow, Bluebird at 3, I said. Public, cameras, red shirt. Send me the time and a photo of the person if you get one. And Haven? Yeah? Start a paper trail tonight. Email yourself the timeline, attachments, screenshots. Put dates on everything. If they want to fight dirty, we fight clean and documented. We hung up and I felt taller by 2 inches. I opened a new doc and titled it Timeline V1. I wrote dates like little anchors. December 2. First use of the line. January 14. Scratch intro recording. March 3. Evan's burnout coffee. March 5. Teaser drop. March 5. My texts, my blood. I exported a PDF and sent it to Nora with a subject line that made my teeth grit. For your records. Then I turned back to my DAW and built episode 0. I laid my narration. I laid the creek. I laid the whistle. I layered in a fan email Aya's with her written permission on screen. Her words landed like a hand squeeze. You helped me tell the truth without breaking. I stopped. The hairs on my arms prickled. I scrubbed back. The teaser's chorus contained a voice I recognized only in the rhythm, that delicate triplet of syllables when she says her brother's name. Aya, he'd used her words. But not her voice. A voice actor, a polished counterfeit. My mouth tasted metallic. If I published without thinking, I could put Aya in the crosshairs of a corporation. I texted her. Me. Hey, it's Haven. Can we talk? Urgent. 3 dots. Then, Aya. Yes, phone or email. I'm in class till 8. Call me after, I typed. Please. I scheduled episode 0 as unlisted on YouTube and set the thumbnail to a red waveform that looked like a seismograph mid-event. My cursor hovered over publish, not yet. Not until Aya and I spoke. Not until I met a denim cap in front of the Bluebird. At 8:42 p.m., my feed refreshed with a new email from a no-reply address. Fathom Legal. Reminder. Any publication of proprietary materials will result in immediate legal action. At 8:59, my phone rang. Aya's name lit up my screen. I answered, breathless. Before I could say hello, another vibration hummed in my other hand. The burner phone I didn't own but now apparently did. I looked down. A text from an unknown number blinked like a hazard light. They know about Aya. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The apartment pulsed like a machine that had learned my heartbeat and wanted to sync with it. Every little sound felt like a clue. The fridge hum, the radiator hiss, the distant whine of the light rail outside my window, and somewhere beneath it all, the echo of that text. They know about Aya. By morning, my head ached from caffeine and paranoia. I brewed another pot anyway. Amma called before sunrise. You sound like you've been swallowed by the internet, she said. I'm fine, I lied. Did you sleep? Define sleep. She exhaled hard enough that I heard the judgment in it. Haven, if this meeting feels off, walk away. Seriously. No story is worth getting cornered. I'll be in public, I said. Bluebird Cafe. Cameras, crowds, daylight. It's fine. Wear the red shirt? Wearing it now. Good. Makes you look dangerous. I laughed, but it didn't stick. By 2:50 p.m., I was standing on Colfax again. The Bluebird Cafe buzzed with mid-afternoon energy students hunched over laptops, a barista spinning the grinder like a DJ, acoustic music humming low. I ordered a latte I wouldn't drink, and took the corner booth near the window, where the security camera pointed directly at me. Outside, Denver was pure October light, amber, and cruelly beautiful. 3, 4, no denim cap. I checked every reflection, every door swing, every voice that sounded half familiar. Then, at 3:07, she appeared. Denim cap, black mask, messenger bag. Shorter than I expected. She scanned the room, saw my red shirt, and approached like someone carrying dynamite in her chest. Haven? She asked, voice soft but certain. That's me. I'm Callie. From the email? She nodded, slid into the seat opposite me, and unzipped her bag. Inside, a small digital recorder and a stack of manila folders bound with a blue rubber band. Before I say anything, she said, you should know I don't work for Fathom anymore. Anymore, I repeated. So you did. Until last week. She glanced around the cafe. You have no idea what he promised them, Haven. I tilted my head. Enlighten me. She lowered her voice. Fathom wanted a prestige narrative show. Something like This American Life. But darker, sexier, serialized. Evan pitched Other People's Echoes as a rebrand of your old project, claimed the concept was his, and that you had walked away. I felt my stomach turn. Walked away? From my own work? He said you'd signed a release. I stared. Did he show them a release? No, she said. He said it was verbal. Fathom didn't care. They wanted the show, not the truth. Why are you telling me this? Because I was the one who mastered his pilot. I heard your voice in the raw files. Your mic hum. Your creak. And instead, I copied the raw stems before I erased them, she said. Because it was wrong. And because he's done it before. I leaned forward. To who? 2 years ago, a small show out of Portland. He took their structure, changed the host, repackaged it. They couldn't prove it, they didn't have timestamps or witnesses. He counts on people giving up before they can afford lawyers. My pulse thudded. And you? I quit after the teaser went live, she said. But before I left, I downloaded the backup drive. I left a breadcrumb in your folder, so you'd find it. The roads, pitch, room file. She nodded. That was me. I wanted you to hear how he sold it. And the metadata zip? That was a gift, she said, smiling without warmth. The stems prove provenance. But there's more. She slid one of the manila folders across the table. Inside, email printouts between Evan and Fathom executives. He'd attached my concept document, my header, my words. There was even a note at the bottom of one. H. Cole handled early drafts. I'll retool the language. The kind of quiet theft you only see when it's printed in 12-point Arial. I swallowed hard. This is everything. Not quite, she said. You need a chain of custody. Screenshots are good, but originals are better. Keep them encrypted. If they suspect I leaked this, they'll bury me in NDAs. Then why help me? She looked at me for a long second. Because I believed your show, the one you actually made. I listened to second person singular while my dad was in hospice. You made people feel seen. He just made people feel sold. Her eyes glistened. I couldn't let him win again. We sat in silence. The espresso machine hissed. Someone dropped a spoon. Callie, I said softly. They sent someone to my door with a cease and desist. They know about Aya. How? Her face went pale. They're combing through everything, she whispered. When they took your RSS feed, they got your analytics, your listener metadata. If Aya used her real name in a voicemail, they could trace her. I felt the air thin. She's a college student. She's not part of this. I know, Callie said. That's why you have to move fast. Go public before they control the story. The longer they own the narrative, the harder it gets to be heard. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. A text popped up on my screen. Delete your uploads, Haven. You're breaking NDA. There was no NDA. But they were betting I'd panic. I looked up at Callie. If I publish, I risk a lawsuit. If I don't, I lose my voice. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. Then, make the story about the proof, not the accusation. Show your work. The files, the timestamps, the process. Let the audience connect the dots. It was smart, dangerous, but smart. She reached into her bag again and handed me a small USB drive. This is a clone of the Fathom project folder. Internal notes, metadata, version history, everything. I stared at it, like it was radioactive. If they find out you gave me this. I'm already gone, she said. New name, new city after this. But you, she pointed at me. You still have a mic. Use it. Then she stood up, zipped her bag, and started to leave. Wait, I said. Will I see you again? Not if you do this right, she said, half smiling. And then she was gone, swallowed by the Colfax crowd. I sat there for a long time, the USB heavy in my hand. The latte had gone cold. Outside, the light had shifted from gold to steel. I texted Amma. Meeting done. Safe. Got something big. Amma. Bigger than a lawsuit? Me. Bigger than fear. That night, I plugged the USB into an air-gapped laptop. No Wi-Fi, no cloud. Just me and the ghosts in the files. There were hundreds of documents. Project drafts. Internal memos. And one file named NDA. List. Internal. PDF. I opened it. At the top, Evan's name. Below his Callie's. Then a third name I didn't expect. Aya B. Consultant, audio source release. My heart dropped. They'd faked her signature. I zoomed in. The font looked scanned, the lines too clean. A signature copy-pasted onto an agreement that claimed she'd sold her voicemail story in perpetuity. I sat back, dizzy. He hadn't just stolen from me, he'd stolen from the people who trusted me. The listeners, who sent their voices, like bottled messages, into the sea. The cursor blinked. I knew what I had to do. I opened my DAW, created a new project file, and titled it Episode 1, The Ghost in the Waves. This wouldn't be revenge. It would be revelation. But before I could start recording, my phone buzzed again. FaceTime, unlisted number. I hesitated, then answered. Evan's face filled the screen. He looked calm, too calm. Haven, he said softly. We need to talk. I'm done talking. I think you'll want to after this. He turned his camera. For a second, the image was blurry. Then it focused. Aya, sitting in what looked like a studio office, headphones on, eyes wide like she'd seen something she didn't understand. Evan's voice came through, slick and controlled. "She's here voluntarily," he said. "She's just recording a statement about how you encouraged her to exaggerate her story for drama." My mouth went dry. "What?" "She'll say it on record. You don't want that, Haven. Let this go." The line crackled. Aya looked like she was trying to speak, but the audio muted. Then, the call ended. My reflection stared back at me on the black screen, jaw trembling. I whispered to no one, "What have you done, Evan?" And somewhere on my desk, the red light of my mic blinked back to life. I didn't realize I'd started recording until I heard myself breathing through the playback. Every inhale was sharp, every exhale ragged. You can't fake that sound, it's the noise people make when something they love gets strangled right in front of them. Aya's face haunted the black glass of my laptop. Was she really there with him? Or was that footage staged another layer of manipulation for leverage? Either way, Evan had escalated. This wasn't business anymore. It was a hostage situation in PR clothing. I called Aya. No answer. I texted. Me. "Aya, are you okay? Was that call real?" No response. I tried again. Nothing. I checked her social media. Her Instagram was suddenly private. Her last post from 2 days ago had a caption that now hit different. "Sometimes silence feels like safety." My stomach dropped. I called Amma. She picked up on the first ring. "Talk to me," she said. "He's got Aya," I said. "Or he's pretending to. I don't know which is worse." Amma didn't curse often, but she did then, a sharp, satisfying word that made me feel less alone. "Do not confront him alone," she said. "You have a lawyer, Haven. Use her." "I will," I said, pacing. "But I need proof that what he showed me wasn't real." "Then do what you do best," she said. "Follow the audio." So I did. I rewatched the FaceTime recording twice, then 3 times. At 04, a flicker behind Aya, a reflection in the glass door, a wall with a poster. I paused, zoomed in. The logo was blurry, but the color? Teal and white. That shade didn't belong to Fathom. It belonged to Indie Field Studios, a local co-op I'd worked with once. I dug up old photos from their Instagram, same teal and white mural, same acoustic foam pattern. Evan hadn't flown her anywhere. He'd taken her right here, in Denver. I exhaled. A crack of light in the dark. I opened my contacts and found Sam, the owner of Indie Field. He picked up after 2 rings, his voice gravelly with recognition. "Haven Cole, damn, it's been a minute. What's up?" "Hey Sam, random question, is Evan Pace using your studio right now?" "Evan?" "Yeah, he booked a block this week. Recording something new for Fathom." "Why? Is Aya B with him?" He hesitated. "The college girl?" "Yeah, she was here yesterday." Looked nervous, to be honest. My pulse pounded. "Can you check your security feed from yesterday afternoon, please? That might be a legal gray." "Sam. He's coercing her. You don't want to be complicit in that." A pause. Then, "Give me 10 minutes. I waited, pacing grooves into my floor. When his email came through, my breath caught. 2 video files, both time-stamped from the same day as Evan's FaceTime. The first clip, Aya entering the studio, backpack slung over her shoulder. She looked confused, cautious. The second, she left less than 20 minutes later. No smile, no handshake. Voluntary? Maybe technically. Safe? Absolutely not. I downloaded the files, watermarked them, and sent copies to Nora, my lawyer, with one line. "He's using her image under false pretenses." Nora called immediately. "This is good," she said. "Bad for your heart, but good for your case. I'll get these notarized and contact the co-op to confirm chain of custody." "I want to make this public," I said. "Not yet. Let me build a wall before you throw stones. People need to know, Nora." "And they will," she said. "But if you go nuclear before we're ready, he'll spin you as unstable or worse, defamatory. Let him think you're retreating." I hated the logic because it was right. But retreat was not silence. It was strategy. That night, I sat down to edit my next episode. Episode 1. The Ghost in the Waves. I layered the sounds, the whistle, the creak, the hum, each one a fingerprint of ownership. Then, under my narration, I placed a heartbeat. Slow, uneven, mine. You can steal a story, I said into the mic, but you can't steal the noise it made when it was born. I talked about the line between collaboration and colonization, how women in media get rewritten out of their own ideas, how easy it is to weaponize a friendly voice. I didn't name Evan, didn't name Fathom, but I described every move they'd made, like shadows on the wall of Plato's cave. At the end, I whispered, to the person listening who knows what they took, you have 1 week to make it right. I hit upload, unlisted, sent the link to Nora. Good, she wrote back. Controlled burn. But, by morning, it wasn't controlled anymore. Someone leaked it. The unlisted link public. Twitter, Reddit, podcast forums. Within hours, number second person stolen was trending. People compared my episode to Evan's teaser side by side, waveform by waveform. Listeners were angry. Other podcasters were furious. Fans started uploading old clips of second person singular, showing how the same sound design, the same lines, appeared in other people's echoes. The internet had become my jury and my army. By noon, Fathom released a statement. We are aware of allegations concerning other people's echoes. We take intellectual property claims seriously and are investigating. Evan's name trended next to mine. My inbox overflowed with interview requests, sponsorship offers, apologies from people who had ghosted me months ago. It should have felt like victory. It didn't, because Aya still hadn't called. That night, a DM popped up on Twitter from an account named @EchoProofProfileBlank, created that day. You're not done. Check the timestamp metadata on Evan's teaser upload. The real crimes in the schedule. Attached, a screenshot of a Fathom upload dashboard, half redacted. The date, March 3, 8:12 a.m. The IP address, Denver. But the teaser went live, March 5. So, what was uploaded on the 3rd and then changed later? I clicked the attached.txt file. It contained a hash value and a file name, EPEEP0, original mix, WAV. The initials, EPE, other people's echoes, original mix. If there was an original, that meant a second version existed, one scrubbed, one clean. My throat tightened. Evan hadn't just stolen my work. He'd edited something out of the first version, something that could ruin him. I messaged Diego, my sound engineer friend. Me. Need you again. I think there's a buried mix. Diego. Send it. Me. I don't have it yet. Diego. Then let's get it. He sent me a dark web link, a forum for leaked audio stems. I shouldn't have clicked it, but I did. Buried in a thread titled Fathom Leaks was a post by EchoLeak user, sharing a torrent magnet link. EPE. EP0. Original mix. Wave. My stomach turned. I downloaded it to the same offline laptop. Heart pounding. When I hit play, I almost didn't catch it at first, but at 2:46, under Evan's narration, a faint voice whispered, "Stop recording." She didn't agree. A woman's voice. It was Aya. The blood roared in my ears. He'd known. He'd known she didn't give consent for her story, and he used it anyway. I scrubbed back, isolated her voice, amplified it, looped it. Stop recording. She didn't agree. Stop recording. She didn't agree. Proof. Not just theft, violation. I stared at the waveform, hands trembling, realizing the gravity of it. This wasn't just my revenge anymore. This was justice for her. I messaged Nora. Found buried mix. Aya's voice. No consent. Sending encrypted. Her reply came quick. Hold everything. This just became criminal. Then came the sound that made my stomach twist. A soft knock. 3 times. Exactly like before. I froze. Eyes locked on the door. Then a voice. Low. Familiar. Haven. Open up. Evan. He sounded calm. Too calm. I muted my mic, reached for my recorder, and pressed record again. If he was coming for me, the world was going to hear every second. The pounding came again. 3 knocks. Measured. Intentional. Haven. Evan's voice was too even, like someone reading a script he'd rehearsed 100 times. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The mic light glowed red beside me. My recorder was already rolling. Haven, he said again, quieter this time. We need to talk before this gets out of control. It's already out of control, I thought. I rose slowly and walked to the door, leaving the chain latched. Say what you need to say from there, I called out. He laughed, once, thin, nervous. You've turned this into a war. You think the internet will protect you? They love a scandal, but they forget you in a week. I don't want protection, I said. I want truth. That's not what this is about, he snapped. You want to punish me. For leaving. For succeeding. The way he said, succeeding, made my teeth ache. I held up my phone so the audio would capture everything. You stole my idea. You faked her consent. You built a lie out of people's pain. That's dramatic, even for you, he said. You always did need a villain to make your stories work. There it was, his tell. He wanted control of the narrative. He always had. I stepped closer to the door, just enough for the mic to catch every word. You used Aya's voice after she told you to stop. I have the recording, Evan. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. You don't understand what you're playing with, he said finally. Those files, those were rough cuts. She signed later. She didn't. You can't prove that. I can, I said, voice steady. Her actual signature doesn't match the NDA you forged. He cursed under his breath. You're bluffing. Am I? He banged the door suddenly, the wood shuddering. I flinched back. Open this door, Haven. I didn't move. He hit it again. Then, sirens. Close. His footsteps retreated down the hall. I peered through the peephole and saw him disappearing down the stairwell, just as two uniformed officers came into view. My neighbor, the elderly lady across the hall, peeked out and pointed. He was yelling, she said. Sounded threatening. The officers took my statement, calm and polite. One of them glanced at the paper on my table, the cease and desist, and nodded like he'd seen this before. You should file a report, he said. That letter doesn't give him the right to show up here. I will, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. When they left, I locked every bolt and stood staring at the waveform still recording on my screen. His voice, his threats, his confession between the lines. I clipped the file and titled it, Evidence 5 Confrontation, WAV. Then I did something reckless. Something inevitable. I opened YouTube Studio. I uploaded The Ghost in the Waves. Public. The thumbnail. A waveform glowing red like a warning. The description. This is what happens when your echo tries to silence you. Within 20 minutes, it had 10,000 views. Within an hour, 50,000. Comments flooded in. People dissecting every sound, every timestamp, every lie. Someone uploaded side-by-side comparisons, proving the stolen lines. A journalist from Vulture emailed asking for comment. Number Echogate trended worldwide. And then, at 11:13 p.m., an email from Fathom's PR team hit my inbox. Effective immediately, Fathom Audio is suspending production of other people's echoes, pending internal review. Mr. Pace has been placed on leave. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. He was falling, but I wasn't done yet, because Aya still hadn't spoken for herself. It was 3 days before I heard from her. My phone buzzed while I was recording a follow-up episode titled The Anatomy of a Lie. Her name lit up the screen. Aya? Her voice trembled. I'm okay. Relief punched the air out of me. He tried to get me to sign something, she said. Said it was a release form for clarity. I refused. He told me he'd use a sample from an old voicemail instead. I didn't know he already had. You're safe? I'm home, she said. And I saw your video. Thank you. I swallowed hard. You don't owe me thanks. I do, she said. Because you believed me before anyone else did. I closed my eyes. The room finally felt still. 2 days later, Nora called. Fathom wants to settle, she said. Settle? They'll issue a public apology, pay damages, and revert full rights of second person singular to you. But you'll need to sign a non-disparagement clause. I laughed. You mean don't say his name? Basically. And if I refuse, then it goes to court, and you'll win, but it'll take years. I thought about my audience, my little corner of the internet that had rallied for me. They didn't need another lawsuit drama. They needed closure. Tell them I'll sign, I said, if they include Aya in the apology. There was a pause. Then Nora's smile came through the line. I'll make that happen. The statement dropped the next morning. Atham Audio apologizes to Haven Cole and Aya B for the unauthorized use of creative materials and personal recordings. We have terminated our agreement with Mr. Pace and fully transferred rights of second-person singular back to its original creator. It was short, corporate, sterile, but it was enough. The internet filled in the color. Clips, essays, think pieces about creative ownership, ethics, and power. We hear you trended for 3 days. Evan deleted his socials. No apology. Just absence. Silence, the loudest sound he'd ever make. Weeks later, I recorded one last episode. No music. Just me. This started as revenge, I said. But revenge is hollow when the truth can do the work for you. What Evan took wasn't my show, it was the echo of people who trusted me with their pain. The lesson isn't that he lost, it's that I listened. That we all listened. I ended with a message to Aya, and to everyone who'd ever been silenced. They can edit your story, but they can't delete your voice. I hit publish. Then I sat back and watched the comments roll in, messages from artists, musicians, creators who'd been burned, borrowed from, rewritten out of their own beginnings. They called me brave, but I wasn't. I was just loud. And sometimes, that's enough. A month later, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, a small, battered USB drive and a note written on a napkin. Stories outlive thieves. Keep creating. See. Callie. I smiled, slid the drive into my drawer, and closed it gently. Outside, Denver hummed the same creak, the same hum, the same heartbeat I'd once thought was broken. I opened a new file on my laptop, named it Season 2, The Echo of Justice, pressed record, and began again. This is Haven Cole, I said, my voice steady, my own. Welcome back to second person singular. Fade out.